Hey everybody, welcome to the next installment of Whiskey Wednesday. We are the Dad Smoking Cigars. I'm Tim, he's Kyle, and on this episode we are going to check out a whiskey from a company that when we first started a year ago, we tried out, and then we realized they released some new ones, so we had to visit them again.
Tonight we're going to be reviewing one of their newer whiskeys, a rye whiskey called Emerald Giant.
And it comes to us from Redwood Empire. Check it out. I do believe it's time we pour ourselves a little drink.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Whiskey Wednesday. This episode of Whiskey Wednesday is brought to you by Redwood Empire. And they have graciously sponsored us and sent us a couple of bottles, and this is going to be bottle number 1 that we're going to be trying.
And you'll have to wait for number 2.
You will have to wait for number 2, but we can't tell you how excited we are to be trying one of their new whiskeys because a little over a year ago, Redwood Empire was still relatively new. I'm not sure how long they had been producing and selling their whiskey, but their original whiskey was a bourbon rye blend, and I kept seeing ads for it on Instagram, and just the look of the bottle, the color of the whiskey, I had to try it. And so my mom actually bought me a bottle for my birthday last year, so that was pretty awesome.
And it looked very different than the bottles now.
It looks so different. Hopefully I can dig up a picture of it, and maybe we'll put it on the screen for you right now so you can see what it looked like last year as compared to this year, where all of their bottles have a similar theme but different labels and different themes on the labels.
Yes.
So we are trying their rye whiskey tonight called Emerald Giant. Tim, why don't you kind of go into a little bit of what the whiskey's all about and
Perfect.
what the motivation is behind them.
So Redwood Empire, yes, Redwood Empire is up in the Redwood area of Northern California, hence Redwoods. And the John Muir Trail is all over up there. I've been fortunate enough to hike on multiple sections of the John Muir Trail. And they actually attribute the harmonious blend of man and nature in Redwood Empire and how they go together so well. This one gets its name, the Emerald Giant, from, and I'm going to read it because I want to get it right. Down a winding trail and along a meandering creek in the Redwood National Park rises the massive trunk of the Emerald Giant, hence the name. Yawning high above at over 360 feet, this August sequoia is the fastest growing redwood in the world, gaining over 50 cubic feet and more than 1,500 pounds of mass each year. These are aged at least 3 years, so as you can tell, the Emerald Giant truly is a giant tree. And if you've ever been to the Redwoods, you know that they are absolutely stunning and breathtaking with the literally the majesty of how large they are and just God's creation.
I was going to say, I've heard majestic attributed to these amazing trees, and it is one of those places that I need to cross off my bucket list. But another thing I want to cross off the list is trying this, I'm going to assume, delicious whiskey.
Yes, they age it in their barrels in temperature climate of the Northern California coast, which allows for a slow and even extraction of flavor, producing a whiskey of exceptional balance and complexity. So, without any further delay, let's play.
Yes, please.
That didn't go. There we go.
I was going to say, do the easy way. Love that sound.
Glug, 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 glug.
We're just a couple of hosers over here. Thanks, sir. All right. Let's see what kind of... Oh.
Ooh.
That's almost kind of got a little bit of a vanilla bouquet to it. Just a little bit.
Vanilla, like a vanilla spice.
Vanilla spice, exactly. I was going to say there's some sort of spice in it.
Well, instead of having you stare at us while we keep sticking our noses in our glass, let's try this out.
I just took a sip. I cheated.
I'm going to try it out.
All right, go for it then. Wow. That is good.
Very smooth.
Oh, extremely smooth. A little bit of bite to it.
Initial, just the
Just that
initial bite.
initial,
After
and
that, it's gone.
like a lot of whiskeys, really good whiskeys, it warms you all the way down. It is a very comforting, very wonderful feeling when you drink a good glass of whiskey. You feel relaxed and at ease, and the flavor is just the icing on the cake.
It's literally like a spiced whiskey with vanilla notes to it.
A little bit. It does remind me of the
I
first
was
glass.
just gonna say
the first glass we tried, because I remember when we tried Redwood Empire initially.
I likened it to one whiskey that's out there.
One whiskey that's out there. We won't say the name of it just because I feel like we would shame this very, very good company, very good whiskey. But it had notes of cinnamon and vanilla, had kind of a woody finish to it. And from what I remember, but basically we were saying it was a lot like this really sweet whiskey out there that also has cinnamon in it and is very spicy, except it was minus all the sugary sweetness, minus all the candy coatedness, the syrupiness of that particular whiskey that a lot of people drink. And I've drank that whiskey before. Tim's had that whiskey
many
before.
Times.
Yes. And it's a fun whiskey to drink. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the other sugary candy-coated whiskey. It's fun to drink when you're just hanging out with people and you're just drinking to drink. Whereas you drink something like this, which is very delicious and luxurious, and
sitting back and enjoying a glass.
Exactly.
Not having a shot of sugary cinnamon.
No. You want to actually experience the drink. You want to remember it, and this is taking me all the way back to that night, July 13th, 2018, a Friday night where Tim and I hung out on my patio where Dad Smoking Cigars was born.
Yep.
And this had a role in that. And
which is why we wanted to review it so bad.
Exactly.
And again, thank you, and I'll call her out by name, Jess with Redwood Empire. Thank you so much for being willing to sponsor this episode and another one in the future by supplying us with a bottle of this delicious whiskey.
Oh, and this is the first rye I've had in a while. I can't remember the last time I had a rye. In fact, I think the last time I had a rye might have been the first time I had a rye, and if I'm not mistaken, that was the first whiskey I ever tried, and it gave me a horrible headache, but that's because I was a noob. So we're not going to go there. I have become fairly well versed in whiskey now, and it is something I absolutely delight in and love, and this is no exception.
So I'm picking up all the same notes, like we've talked about. Obviously, the cinnamon, but it's not overpowering. But there's a sweetness to it. Like if you were to have just the core of a cinnamon roll without all the icing and the sugariness, just like that raw sweet cinnamon flavor note to it, with a little bit of a bite, but it's refreshing. It's not a heavy in the mouth kind of a rye whiskey where it's like, okay, there's definitely the darker notes and heavier notes. This is very light and refreshing.
Oh, it's delicious. I'm very glad that we tried it. Tried this one first, just because we wanted to kind of branch out into something different. We've had bourbon up the wazoo lately. We haven't really been drinking as much scotch as we have in the past. It's we've been just trying to branch out and try new things. And
we'll get to scotch soon.
Oh, we'll get to scotch soon, absolutely. So. But this is fantastic. And thank you again, Redwood Empire, for being so gracious and generous to send us a couple bottles and sponsor this episode and another that we will be doing very soon. So this is a treat, an absolute treat.
So if you want to get information about Redwood Empire, it's going to be right down below here. We're going to put a link to their company. They go to events. They are very active, and they are very much about the customer end user contact points and the touch points and getting to know what their customers like. And when we saw that this was released with the 3 bottles that are out now in their line, we jumped on it. So please, if you are a rye whiskey fan, even if you're not, but you just like whiskey, or you're brand new and you thought, oh, what is cinnamon like? What do you mean it's not syrupy and sweet? What do you mean all those things? You've got to check out Redwood Empire, guys.
You will enjoy this. This has a little bit of that bite, but not so much that it's overpowering, not so much that it's going to take away from your enjoyment and experience of it. Because there are some of those whiskeys where they have all of one thing and not much or none of the other, where they're not as well balanced as this one. This is definitely a very balanced whiskey.
Yep.
It's got a little bit of that bite. It warms you all the way down, but it's also got amazing flavor, and it's just a very tasty, delicious whiskey. And yeah, you really need to pick up a bottle of this one and all of their others that they have available to you. So
yes, so check out their information below. Follow them on all their social medias. We're going to link all of that down below as well. Give them a like, give them a share. Most importantly of all, go and purchase some. Support this amazing company here in California, Redwood Empire Whiskeys. They are delicious. They are fantastic. And as always, for Kyle, I'm Tim. We are the Dad Smoking Cigars. This has been our latest installment of Whiskey Wednesday, and we'll see you
later.